Everything gets back to normalcy. Life is full of unexpected changes. Sometimes these changes are joyful. A new job, a new baby, or a fresh opportunity. Other times, they are overwhelming. A global pandemic, natural disasters, personal loss, or a period of uncertainty. No matter what the change is, one thing remains true. With time, everything tends to get back to a state of normalcy. This normalcy may not always look exactly like the past, but it becomes a new rhythm, a new balance. Understanding this cycle of disruption and return helps us stay strong through difficult times and appreciate stability when it returns. The meaning of normalcy. Normalcy refers to the condition of being normal, typical, or expected. It represents stability, routine, and predictability. After going through chaos, people often long for normalcy. The ability to wake up, go about their day, and live without fear or confusion. In many ways, normalcy is what gives people a sense of control over their lives. It brings comfort, because it means the worst is over and life is slowly returning to what feels safe. However, normalcy doesn't always mean things go back to exactly how they were. Sometimes, after a major event, the world changes permanently. But even in those cases, people adapt. They find new routines, new habits, and eventually, new peace. That's the beauty of human resilience. Historical examples of normalcy. Returning history shows us many examples of how societies have gone through crises and eventually returned to normal life. For instance, after World War II, one of the most devastating conflicts in history, countries rebuilt their cities, economies, and communities. Families who had been separated reunited. People who had lived in fear began to feel safe again. Over time, normal life resumed, even if it looked different from before. More recently, the COVID-19 pandemic brought the world to a halt. Schools closed, businesses shut down, and social life disappeared overnight. It felt like the world would never be the same. But after months and years of adjustment, masks, vaccines, social distancing, life began to shift back. Schools reopened. People traveled again. Restaurants welcomed customers. While some changes remained, like remote work or new health precautions, the overall feeling of life began to settle back into a sense of routine. These examples remind us that even the darkest moments can pass, and a new kind of normal can emerge. Personal experiences of returning to normalcy. On a personal level, people experience their own disruptions, the loss of a loved one, a breakup, an illness, or losing a job. These events shake a person's world and make it hard to imagine feeling normal again. At first, grief or anxiety can take over. Daily routines feel impossible, and the future feels uncertain. But slowly, day by day, things begin to shift. A person who loses a job eventually finds a new opportunity. A heartbroken individual meets someone who brings happiness. Someone dealing with illness finds strength, support, and healing. As time goes on, these individuals build new lives, and what once felt impossible becomes manageable. Their normal may not be the same as before, but it is real, comforting, and sustainable. This gradual return shows how adaptable the human spirit is. We may be fragile in the moment, but we are strong in the long run. The role of time and patience. One of the most important elements in returning to normalcy is time. People often want things to go back to normal immediately. They want the pain to stop, the uncertainty to end, and the peace to return. But healing and rebuilding don't happen overnight. It takes patience to let things settle. Time allows wounds to heal, minds to clear, and hearts to open again. With each passing day, routines become easier, confidence grows, and the world feels less scary. It is in this slow process that true normalcy is restored. Patience, then, becomes a form of strength. Instead of rushing the process or giving up, people who trust in time are the ones who recover best. They learn that even if they can't fix everything at once, they can take one step at a time. Creating a new normal. Sometimes people realize that the old normal wasn't perfect. A crisis may highlight problems that were ignored before. For example, during the pandemic, people became more aware of mental health, work-life balance, and the importance of spending time with loved ones. As life returned to normal, many chose not to go back to the exact same life. They made changes, better habits, new goals, or stronger relationships. This is what it means to create a new normal. Instead of clinging to the past, people grow from their experiences. They take the lessons learned and use them to shape a better future. A new normal is still a kind of normalcy. It just includes growth, wisdom, and transformation. And often, it's even better than before. The power of hope. At the heart of returning to normalcy is hope. Hope gives people the strength to believe that things will improve. It motivates them to keep going, even when everything feels difficult. Without hope, it's easy to get stuck in fear or sadness, but with hope, people find light in the darkness. Hope is what keeps families strong during hard times. It's what helps students keep studying even when schools are closed. It's what pushes people to rebuild after loss. And most importantly, hope reminds us that nothing lasts forever, not even pain. When people say everything gets back to normalcy, it can sound like a simple reassurance. But in truth, the journey back to normal is layered with effort, reflection, and growth. It's not just about resuming everyday activities. It's about rebuilding confidence, restoring relationships, adjusting to new realities, and finding peace within change. This second part will explore more aspects of that journey: emotional healing, societal shifts, and how people rebuild a sense of identity after disruption. Emotional healing is a key step. One of the most personal and important aspects of returning to normal is emotional healing. Whether someone has experienced loss, stress, fear, or confusion, these emotions can leave lasting marks. Healing isn't about pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about recognizing what has changed and learning how to live with those changes. For example, someone who loses a loved one will never forget them. That pain never completely disappears. But over time, they begin to smile again, laugh again, and find joy in new moments. They carry the memory, but they also make space for new experiences. That's what emotional healing looks like. Not forgetting the past, but learning to live with it peacefully. Therapy, journaling, talking with friends, prayer, or spending time in nature, all of these can help with emotional healing. Different people find peace in different ways, but the goal is the same: to feel whole again. Once healing begins, people can truly start rebuilding their lives and routines. Rebuilding relationships and community. Another essential part of getting back to normal is rebuilding relationships and community connections. During tough times, people often feel isolated. Whether it's due to distance, stress, or disagreement, connections can weaken. Rebuilding those bonds takes effort. It may mean reaching out to old friends, having difficult conversations, or simply making time for family again. But these relationships are the foundation of normal life. They provide support, encouragement, and a sense of belonging. Communities also go through this process. A town hit by a natural disaster, for instance, may need months or years to repair buildings, reopen schools, or restore power. But as neighbors help one another and local leaders step up, the community begins to heal together. That shared strength is powerful. It reminds everyone that they're not alone and that together they can face anything. The role of acceptance and letting go. Sometimes, returning to normal means accepting that things will never be exactly the same again, and learning to be okay with that. This part of the journey can be the hardest. People might hold on to the past, hoping things will go back to the way they were. But often, the old way isn't possible anymore. A job is gone. A relationship has ended. A child has grown up. Holding on can cause pain and delay healing. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over resistance. It's the moment someone says, "This is where I am now, and I will make the best of it." When people reach that point, they begin to feel free. They stop fighting the change and start building a future. Letting go also allows room for gratitude. People begin to notice the small blessings around them. A sunny day, a kind word, a moment of laughter. These things may have gone unnoticed before, but now they carry deep meaning. Gratitude helps strengthen emotional recovery and makes normalcy feel even more beautiful. The new normal. Growth through adversity. After a major life event or crisis, people often come out stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. They develop new skills, discover what truly matters, and become more grateful for simple things. In this way, challenges shape people in positive ways. For example, someone who loses their job may discover a new passion, something they never had time for before. A person who goes through illness may become an advocate for health and wellness. A student who struggles in school might find new ways to learn and gain confidence. This transformation is often called post-traumatic growth, the idea that people can grow after hardship. They don't just survive, they thrive. Their new normal may be different, but it can also be better. They are more prepared for the future, more connected to others, and more aware of their inner strength. The influence of faith, culture, and perspective. Different cultures and belief systems offer their own paths to normalcy. For many people, faith plays a major role. They trust that a higher power has a plan, even when life feels uncertain. Prayer, meditation, or reading sacred texts can provide comfort and guidance. Faith helps people trust the process, even when they can't see the full picture. In some cultures, community rituals, like festivals, group prayers, or ceremonies, help people reconnect and find joy again. These shared experiences remind everyone that they are part of something larger than themselves. Perspective also plays a powerful role. Someone with a positive mindset may recover faster than someone who feels hopeless. That's not to say positivity is always easy, but even a small shift in perspective, from "why is this happening to me?" to "what can I learn from this?" can make a huge difference. Why it matters. That things return to normalcy gives people a foundation. It helps children feel safe, helps adults focus on work and family, and helps communities function. Without a sense of normal, everything feels uncertain. That's why the return to normal, or the creation of a new one, is so important. It doesn't just restore routines. It restores confidence. It allows people to dream again, to plan again, and to move forward without fear. In many ways, getting back to normal isn't about the world changing. It's about how people respond. With courage, patience, and unity, they can create stability again, no matter the circumstances. Final thoughts. A gentle reminder. If you're reading this during a time of uncertainty or loss, remember, it won't last forever. The pain will ease. The confusion will clear. The routine will return. You'll smile again, laugh again, and find peace in moments that once felt empty. In the story of every life, there are chapters we never planned. Moments of sudden change, loss, struggle, or unexpected detours. During those times, the rhythm of life feels broken. The world, once familiar, can feel like a strange and chaotic place. But time and again, people find their way back. Even if the path is long, even if the scars remain, everything eventually gets back to normalcy, or at least a version of it. This truth is not just a comfort, but a profound reflection of human resilience and the natural order of life. Life is like nature, seasons of change and renewal. One of the best ways to understand how normalcy returns is by looking at nature. The seasons give us a beautiful metaphor for change. After a harsh winter, when trees are bare and skies are gray, spring comes. Flowers bloom again. The sun shines warmer. Life that seemed dead starts growing. This seasonal cycle reflects what happens in our lives, too. A person going through depression, illness, or heartbreak may feel like they're living through a long winter. But just like spring always follows, so does renewal. The heart slowly begins to feel lighter. Energy returns. People laugh again. Life comes back, not suddenly, but surely. Just as the earth doesn't skip spring, our lives don't skip recovery. This natural rhythm teaches patience. We cannot rush a tree to bloom, and we cannot rush ourselves to heal. But just like we trust the seasons, we can trust the return of balance. Micro moments. How normal comes back. Little by little, one of the most overlooked parts of returning to normal is the role of small, daily moments. People often imagine recovery as a big, dramatic event, a sudden return to happiness or health. But in truth, normalcy comes quietly, piece by piece. It starts with small victories. The first time you wake up without dread. The first time you cook your favorite meal again. The first time you smile at a joke after weeks of silence. The first walk around the block where you feel calm. These are signs of healing. They may seem small, but they are huge milestones. Normal doesn't arrive like a lightning bolt. It tiptoes back into your life through these little things. And one day, without realizing it, you notice, I feel okay again. This is why paying attention to the present, to these micro moments, is important. They are clues that your world is slowly stitching itself back together. Social normalcy. Rebuilding the world around us. While personal recovery is one part of the puzzle, another important aspect is social normalcy. How entire societies recover from collective disruptions like war, pandemics, economic crises, or natural disasters. Take, for example, the aftermath of COVID-19. The world changed dramatically. Lockdowns, closed borders, remote work, online school. It was not just individuals affected, but entire systems. Returning to normal meant reimagining how we work, learn, and connect. Airports reopened. Children returned to classrooms. People gathered again. And through new rules, technologies, and habits, society slowly found a new rhythm. But returning to social normalcy also means addressing the cracks that crises expose. Inequality, loneliness, overwork, or broken systems. For many communities, normal became an opportunity to improve. Remote work helped some families spend more time together. Online learning brought education to places it hadn't reached before. In this way, normalcy didn't just return, it evolved. So, societal normalcy is not about going back blindly to old ways. It's about building forward with awareness, making changes so that the next crisis finds us more prepared and more united. Identity and growth. Who we become. In the process. Another fascinating part of returning to normal is what it does to your sense of identity. A major life event can shake who you are. Someone who was once confident may feel lost. Someone who was once joyful may become quiet and withdrawn. During the disruption, people often ask themselves, who am I now? But as normalcy returns, identity reshapes. The person doesn't become who they were before. They become someone stronger, someone deeper, someone wiser. The pain, the experience, the recovery, all of it adds layers to who they are. Think of someone who survived a serious illness. They may not return to the same lifestyle, but they may find a new purpose. Maybe they volunteer, write, or support others going through similar battles. Their identity grows from their experience. In this way, normalcy isn't a return to the old self, but the discovery of a more resilient version of who you are. That identity, shaped by storms, grounded by strength, is a quiet form of triumph. The psychology of stability. Why normal matters. Psychologists often speak of psychological safety, the feeling of being safe, secure, and in control. Normalcy plays a huge role in this. When routines are in place, when plans are possible, when life feels stable, people feel more relaxed and hopeful. Disruption causes stress because it takes away predictability. But once things begin to feel familiar again, waking up at the same time, seeing familiar faces, having a sense of purpose, the brain calms down. stress hormones decrease, positive chemicals like dopamine and serotonin return. That's why even small routines, making your bed, cooking a meal, calling a friend, can be powerful tools for recovery. Creating these daily patterns is like building bricks of safety. Over time, they create a mental space where healing and joy can return. Moving forward. Without fear. One of the greatest gifts that comes from returning to normal is the freedom to move forward. During a crisis, people often live in survival mode. All their energy goes into getting through the day. But once stability returns, they can dream again, plan again, and open their hearts to possibility. This freedom is precious. It's what allows a child to laugh without worry, a student to focus on their goals, a family to make future plans. It's what lets us love, travel, create, and grow. Normalcy, in the end, is not just about order. It's about hope. Final words, you will get there. If you're going through something heavy right now, please believe this. You will find your way back. You may not know how, or when, or what it will look like, but you will. Life has a remarkable way of repairing itself. Like grass growing through cracks in the sidewalk, like the morning light after a long night. Every breath you take, every small step, every act of kindness, they're all part of the journey back to a world that feels safe and steady. It won't happen all at once. There will be ups and downs, but day by day, life will piece itself back together. And one day, you'll look around and realize normal has returned. Maybe not as it was, but as something new, something even stronger. Everything gets back to normalcy, and so will you.